mind me, I'm just doing some things. Why am I always like this huge awkward turd when I turn on this camera? I don't know. Whatever. In this video, I am doing the mid-year book freakout tag. And I've seen everybody else do this, and I really like it as a video idea because out of everything that I've read this year, which is 100+ books, this is the best of the best. So I'm just gonna stop being weird and let's get into it. The first question is best book of the year so far. And for this, I actually read this book early on in the year. The book that I'm giving this award to is I'm Glad My Mother Died. No, I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. I didn't even watch iCarly, or like, I think that's what she was in. I didn't even watch any of the shows that she was in on the Disney Channel or like anything like that. Like, it was not really my age range, so I didn't really have any reference about her before I started it. But the only thing that I can tell you is that she wanted to be a story writer, Miss Jennette McCurdy, and she fucking crushed it. I still think about that book all the time, and it just, I mean, I wouldn't say like the things that I took from it are always positive, because like she did deal with a lot of weight issues and eating disorders and stuff like that, so it was really, really hard to listen to at times. I did like that she narrated it herself. It was a hard listen, and while I don't have any eating disorders or anything like that, you could just feel her pain in the writing. Chef's kiss. The best book I've read so far this year, I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. All right, first one's done. Like, we're cruising now. Okay, best sequel you've read so far this year. That Time I Got Drunk and Yeeted, A Love Potion and a Werewolf. This book, I mean, it says it there in the title. Our main character, she's a little drunk. She yeets that love potion, hits the werewolf right in the face. I do not like insta-love as far as the trope. Like, it just doesn't do it for me. But what does do it for me is when insta-love is described in the sense of a werewolf imprinting. Like, I think that that was just like the best use of that trope ever. And it's not very thick. It's a little light read. It used to be on Kindle Unlimited. I'm not certain if it is anymore. Like, these are also getting fancy new covers. The third book just came out, which I haven't read yet, but I want to. These are light, cozy fantasy books. I wouldn't, like, you can't technically call it a cozy fantasy, as there is like a lot of spice in these, but literally Jordan kept staring at me whenever I was reading this book because I was just like laughing and having a good time and smiling. So the best sequel I've read so far this year, That Time I Got Drunk and Needed a Love Potion and a Werewolf by Kimberly Lemming. Okay, next question. It is, just got really nervous and I forgot it. A new release that I haven't read yet, but I want to. There we go. She found it. The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. In one of my recent videos, I talked about The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston and how big of a surprise it was for me. So I went into that book blind. I'm gonna go into this book blind. Ashley Poston wrote it, and that's all I need to know. I'm sure tears will be shed. There were some in The Dead Romantics. Yeah, I haven't read this yet. I want to read this. It's on my July TBR, but like, I just haven't had the time yet. I haven't had the time. So, new release that I'm super excited to get to, and I will get to it soon. The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. Okay, next question. Instead of just fumbling, I'm gonna look at it. Most anticipated release of the second half of the year. So, if you've been like on Book Talk a little bit, You know her. The second book, Iron Flame. So the first one is Fourth Wing. It's about dragons, and our girl Violet has to do like all this stuff. Best book description ever. Whatever. Fourth Wing was a big deal. After reading this, I was like, where are my dragons? Like, I did not want to live in a world where I could not have a dragon. So, all vibes. But yeah, I don't know, why am I even, I'm like, look at me. Whatever, we're not even talking about that book. We're gonna talk about Iron Flame. This is the second book in this series, and it is my most anticipated release. That's it, you know? Okay. This next one hurts me quite a bit. Biggest disappointment. And when I hold these books up, I feel like if you know me and you know my reading style, you are going to be shocked. You are going to be shocked. I can't think of another word. Okay, biggest disappointment of the year so far out of everything that I have read. A Vine mess. It was a mess for me. This duology by Tessa Bailey. Now, with that said, I still enjoyed this series. I gave, I think, both books 3 stars. So, Secretly Yours, you have a super chaotic gardener, and he's kind of a little bit of stick in the mud. They fall for each other, obviously. There's like a secret admirer situation. There's some notes left. Like, overall, I'm sitting here telling you about this book. I think it's super cute. It just didn't hold up to It Happened One Summer or Hook, Line, and Sinker, and that's what I'm kind of basing this off of. Also, the second book, like, he's trying to start a vineyard. She's an heiress to, what is it, a winery. Jesus Christ, like, hello, I don't drink much, you know? So, like, this one also had all the vibes, but they just never, like, hit for me. So, biggest disappointment, A Vine Mess duology by Tessa Bailey. Nobody's more sad than I am. I'm just ready for her Christmas release, you know? Like, let's, like, forget about these ones and move on. Move on, you know? The next one. Damn it, I forgot. Biggest surprise. Hello, Miss Ashley Poston. The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. In this book, we follow Florence, who is a ghostwriter for like a Nora Roberts-esque romance writer. The worst part for Florence is she just went through a horrible breakup, and she's like, I actually don't believe in that shit anymore. I don't believe in love. The second part of the story, I believe this is on the back of the book, but her father passes away, and she has to go back home to her hometown that she hasn't been to in a while. So she's also handling the grief of her father passing. Also, Florence, the ghostwriter, sees ghosts. So when she arrives back in her hometown, she sees her new editor, who is a ghost. And need I remind you, Miss Florence here does not believe in love. So she's having to like work on this rough draft while she's just like not into it, while dealing with the grief of losing her father. And this book was a shocker for me. Everyone said it was good, so I just picked it up. I was like, oh yes, me. I gave it 5 stars. It was incredible. This is like the perfect, well, it isn't a light read for sure because of all the grief discussion. But if you're looking for a witchy rom-com during spooky season, this will be a good one. When I'm editing this back, I'm gonna like dislike myself a lot. The next question. Okay, favorite new author. That goes to Miss Freida McFadden. I have read so many of her books since I've discovered her writing. She basically writes thrillers, and they do be thrilling. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that every single one of these books has the most amazing plotline ever, and like if I'm going to remember a thriller, that's what it has to have. It has to have those little like plot twists that other thrillers don't, that really like elevate it. However, what every single one of these books have is that thrilling vibe that I want when I'm reading or listening to a thriller. Every single one of her books just gets me so amped up, and I'm just ready for the next thing. And I also like that generally she sets you up to think that you knew the plot twist, and then she's like, bitch, no, and she gives you another one. So yeah, favorite new author, Freida McFadden. Why? Favorite new author, Freida McFadden. Okay, next question, number 8, newest fictional crush. I just finished this book last night, Liars and Liaisons by Sav R Miller. The fictional crush is Mr. Grayson James. So if you have read the Monsters and Muses series by Sav R Miller, in book 2 we meet Aiden James, stalker extraordinaire, and I don't know why that did it for me, but it did. In that book, Aiden is super like cheeky, funny, like he's a stalker, obviously, which like I would think would not be my thing. Okay, fast forward, Liars and Liaisons, Grayson is actually Aiden's uncle. And we really got a lot of those same like witty vibes, and I just absolutely loved it. He's like cheeky and like morally gray, not a stalker, but there were some like stalker tendencies, and I just like ate it up, you know? In Liars and Liaisons, Grayson is a teacher. He's a professor of music, and one of his students dies, and he thinks that his family is to blame. Right? So when you start the book, he is going on like this revenge tour to try and right all the wrongs he thinks his family did to his student, right? When he does that, he throws these huge parties, right? Which he runs into Violet at, and things like ensue from there. Violet is trying to get back together with Grayson's brother, so like that's her tie-in, and Grayson's like, actually you're gonna come live at my house and you're gonna be a maid and stuff. So like he takes her away to his mansion. She needs the money, so she's like, all right, whatever, I'm in. And then like, yeah, he whisks her away to his big creepy house. And newest fictional crush and obsession is Mr. Grayson James. Next question, newest fave character, Miss Elsie from Love Theoretically. I love Ali Hazelwood's leading ladies. They are quirky, a little bit weird, super intelligent, and what I liked about Miss Elsie the most is she is a people pleaser, and she actually fake dates as a profession. So she always seeks, oh, what's the right word? She seeks approval from everybody she's around, which I feel like is very, very relatable. So you see the character growth of that. Also, like, the bitch loves cheese, you know? And that's the kind of like quirky twist that I always like from an Ali Hazelwood book. Like her references for her love of cheese throughout this book, so relatable. So newest fave character, Miss Elsie Hannaway. Is she a doctor? I don't know. She's a scientist. Miss Elsie Hannaway. Okay, up next, book that made you cry. Bear With Me Now by Katie Shephard. So the premise of this, our leading guy wakes up after being hospitalized for a panic attack, and he is at this retreat, and that's where he runs into our leading lady. The mental health representation in this book was just like chef's kiss. As someone that has also had a summer filled of panic attacks, like this just really hit home when I needed it to. It made it just felt really, really relatable to me. And you have these two characters that both have their mental health issues. He has panic attacks and anxiety, and she has dyslexia, and she's trying to like further her career, so you watch her navigate that. Those two aspects of mental health, plus like the witty banter between the characters, it was like Ali Hazelwood level of quirk, and I just like, I eat that up because like obviously I'm like a little shy, nervous turd myself, so like anything that relates to that I absolutely eat up. So yeah, Bear With Me Now by Katie Shephard. Next up, book that made you happy. I selected The Gargoyle's Captive by Katie Roberts. This is the third book in the, I think it's called A Deal with the Demon series, and everyone's heard of like Katie Roberts' Neon God series, right? And obviously I love that series, but this one, the monster romance series, I absolutely can't. I ate this book up. It is a shorter book and it is on Kindle Unlimited. I absolutely ate this book up. It just made me happy, and I mean, you see what's going on in the title, right? Like the gargoyle is captive, right? Like all of his line is like dwindling, and then you have her and she's like, I need to find out stuff about my family that happened in the demon world, so like whatever, you're a gargoyle, let's go. And that's pretty much the premise of the book, but I just loved it so much. Oh, you already saw it. Most beautiful book you have acquired this year. Fourth Wing. I wouldn't say that like I love the cover of this a lot, but the fact that sprayed edges are like just chilling on the shelf at Walmart, that's what I love about this. So the first run of Fourth Wing, the US edition, they are the only books that have these sprayed edges. And me, you know, in my small town in Oklahoma, I just like cruised into Walmart and I was like, should I read this? I kind of see everybody else talking about it. Boom, saw the sprayed edges. It was in my cart. I had to tell my friends to go get one. We just like tootled in and got them. And then like the whole world is like, how do I get this? And I'm like, oh my God, I have one. So, prettiest book I have received so far this year. Fourth Wing, Rebecca Yarros. Okay, up next, books you need to finish by the end of the year. Obviously, I've got a lot. Like, my TBR is thick, you know? But the books I'm putting in this category is the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown. I only have books 1 and 2, Red Rising and Golden Sun. I have started Red Rising and I am enjoying this a lot, but the reason I'm throwing this into this category, these are sci-fi books, and like your girl doesn't sci-fi very well. So while I am really enjoying the premise of this, it's like very out of my range, you know? So yeah, I want to finish this series by the end of the year. I want to like push myself out of my comfort zone a little bit and like head into space, you know? Okay, this last question was the only question where I read it and thought immediately, yes, this is the answer. So, favorite book to film adaptation. Mic drop. Daisy Jones and the Six. I reread Daisy Jones and the Six recently after watching the show, so I could tab and annotate it. And while this book is good, I gave it 4 stars. I think it is kind of like out there as a thing by itself. Like there's not much else like this out there as far as how this book is told. Because it's told in like an interview style. So like I did really like that. But the show, oh my gosh, like I have told Jordan, my significant other, many times, anytime like I see a reference of the show, I'm like, the show was better. And I think that is the only time you will ever hear me say that I think the show and or movie is better than the book. So yeah, favorite book to film adaptation, Daisy Jones and the Six. Hello, as I was sitting here like editing this, getting it like ready to post, I realized that I didn't really do I didn't really do an outro, like, at all. So, yeah, these are some of the books that I have been loving this year. If you want to play along, you know, also list the books that you've been loving. I love nothing more than adding more books and paint to my physical TBR. So if you have any recommendations, leave them below. Also, like, go check out some of my other videos, you know? She's trying. Bye, guys.